Mrs. Doubtfire, Dead Poets Society, Flubber, Jack. These are just a few of the works that beloved actor and comedian Robin Williams gave us over the course of his lengthy career. But perhaps his greatest and least celebrated contribution to culture comes not from cinema, but from the world of video games. Flashback to 1954 when a wee baby was born in Ontario, Canada by the name of Sidney Meier. Soon after, young Sidney's parents took him away from that backwards, uneducated land and brought him to the civilized utopia that is Michigan. There, he learned what a computer was and how to use it. And this was in 1975, so, that really meant something back then. In the 80s, Meier and his coworker Bill Steely decided to put their computer know-how to good use. They formed a new company, MicroProse, for which Meier designed games like Hellcat Ace and NATO Commander, vehicular combat sims that found an audience with strategy-minded tech heads. This series of games was leading up to a new title that would have just been called Pirates had it not been for one fateful encounter. At a Software Publishers Association dinner, the MicroProse team got the chance to dine with none other than Robin Williams, actor, funny man, and noted video game fan. Williams was so taken with Meier and his work that he reportedly advised Steely, "Bill, you should put Sid's name on a couple of these boxes." Probably then adding, "Nanu Nanu." The team heeded Williams' advice, figuring that audiences would be attracted to Meier's name on the package, having become fans of his earlier works. Thus, Sid Meier's Pirates was released to the public in 1987. A departure from his vehicle sims, Pirates let players freely roam the Caribbean Sea, waging naval combat and plundering loot along the way. As they ventured through the world in whatever manner they wished, alliances would shift and the status of various cities would change in the background, adding an element of randomness completely independent of the player's actions. All of this added up to a game world with a sense of realism and freedom that hadn't quite been imagined until that point. Today, we're setting sail for adventure to see if this game really is a bit of hidden treasure, and if it's worthy of the name on the box, as we play Sid Meier's Pirates. It's a video game podcast.
Wow.
And there's so much to discuss. One of us knows all about them.
That's you.
And the other one's a dunce.
That's me.
You're gonna learn about the very best games with two annoying dorks.
Fatality.
From asteroids to Zelda, from adventure to Zork. We have no life, and we feel no shame. We need your help, 'cause we're bad with games. Avast, me hearties, and welcome to our show. I'm Jonathan.
I'm Will.
And we are Bad with Games.
Should I have been said like, "Yar, me name's Will" or something?
Yeah, you could
You
have.
did like an avast. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, well, we scheduled this release so that this will be available on Talk Like a Pirate Day.
Oh, did we?
No, I think that's in September.
Okay.
I just
How
lied.
sad would it have been if I had just off the top of my head been like, "That's not true. I know what that is."
Sad or awesome? But we're going to be talking like pirates this week because we're covering Sid Meier's Pirates. Wait, of course you have to say it. Sid Meier's Pirates! Because there's an exclamation point in it.
Mm-hmm. Is it just the one?
Yeah, there's only one.
Oh, yeah, it is. Okay, there's. For some reason, I thought. Yeah. Okay. Pirates.
You can add as many as you want in your own time. This originally was released in 1987, and there's been various ports and platforms over the years, which we'll talk to when we get into the game. But yeah, that's what we're doing this week. Pirates.
That's
Arr.
pretty exciting. Yarr.
Arr. Arr. Oh, Jesus. Of course, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see our gameplay footage, youtube.com/@badwithgames. We're also available as an audio podcast if that's your kink. And you can check out our Patreon, patreon.com/badwithgames. If you're a fan of the show, support us over there. $5 a month gets you extra episodes about movies, TV shows based on video games, and other stuff that has nothing to do with video games at all. Okay, let's talk about Sid Meier's Pirates. Actually, what I want to talk about first, I think we should get piratey with it.
Okay.
We always start with our background royales, of course.
Right.
So I guess the general question for you is, what's your familiarity, if any, with pirates and or Sid Meier? But also in a broader sense, because I imagine the answer to that is none. So another thing we can talk about is, how do you feel about the pirate genre itself? Are you into that aesthetic? Are you all about the pirate world?
Yeah, I mean, I do think that's a good question. I think that's going to be a relevant question for gameplay here. As you suspected, I have never heard of this game before. I had never heard of pirates. And I also had never heard of Sid Meier before. Now, I obviously had heard of Civilization. I mean, I guess maybe that's not so obvious for me, but I had heard of that. I've never played one of them, so I've never played a Sid Meier game. Did not know his name. Did not know this game existed. So familiarity level with this is, as you suspected, 0, nothing. Zilch, you might say, nada.
None.
As far as pirate genre goes, I mean, I like the idea of the pirate genre. I don't know that I am like big into it though. I like Pirates of the Caribbean. That's a good movie. It's a fun ride too. But like, I don't know, like the aesthetic of pirates is fun, right? It is fun, but I don't really know much about it. I'm not like, I've engaged with all the pirate media. I probably read Treasure Island when I was a kid. But I don't remember it. I'm not very familiar with the pirate genre either, but I feel generally favorable toward it.
I was thinking about this this week in regards to this game. Strangely, I feel like pirates is one of the least represented genres in media. Maybe you can dispute this, but for something that feels so fundamental, like if you think about what are the things that a little boy pretends to be, pirate is right up there with cowboy and astronaut and knight, right? Like it's like on the Mount Rushmore of the things they want to be, or at least maybe it's not now, but it was up until like the 80s at least.
I swear to God, on not at least one, probably on just one Halloween, I did dress up as a pirate once when I was, I don't know, 7 or something. Like,
you've got the scurvy.
Must have happened.
And yet, really, I mean, there's like a series of swashbuckling pictures back in the day. There's the Errol Flynn and all that kind of stuff. And there's Treasure Island, as you mentioned. There's Peter Pan. And then there was sort of not even a resurgence in the 2000s because there weren't any others.
Yeah.
There was just Pirates of the Caribbean, which was massively popular, but it didn't spawn a wave of imitators. It was just like, that's the franchise now. That's the pirate one. Much the same way we were talking about Jurassic Park just is the dinosaur franchise. No one else, it seems like everyone else just looked at it and said, it's fine. You do that. We don't need to do that. And then the other big one that I thought of in my head was the Monkey Island games, which are all about being a pirate. But those are, of course, like comedic. So it's almost a different sort of a take. Yeah, and in video games too. There's Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag is a big pirate game. And that's like the only other one I can think of, which is surprising because you'd think video games feels like it would really lend itself. There's Sea of Thieves. That's a big, more recent one too. But compared to, sci-fi, fantasy, all these other kinds of genres, there's relatively few pirate games. Yeah, and even this one too, there's been some, there was like I think it was kind of a remake and ports of this game, but there's not like Civ where there's now on Civ 7, there's no Pirates 2. They stopped after this. Weird. It's kind of weird to me. I don't know why are
Yeah.
people afraid to go into pirates? Is it maybe just not as profitable as we think or popular as it seems?
Yeah, maybe people just don't care that much. I mean, I don't know. It seems like Pirates has a large span of identities it could be, but it's hard for me to pin down what it is because, like, on a more realistic sense, a pirate narrative is going to be like really nasty and awful. Like,
Yeah.
especially if you were in the Caribbean, it's like it is a really awful, terrible, fucked up place to be, just in general, alive. At the time, and you couple that with all the dying and killing and whatever. On the other hand, there is like the idea of just like, oh, I'm gonna go around on boats and we're gonna go on the ocean and we'll go to all these different islands and maybe we'll raid this place or we'll fight these guys. There is a kind of fun adventure about it, and there are enough tropes with them, the peg legs and the yar har and the parrots that like are inherently kind of silly. Um, that pirates can just be purely comedic too. Like, it's got a lot of elements of this sort of thing. You know
Yeah.
what's really popular with pirates right now in a way that I'm not really a fan of it being so popular, but it is One Piece.
Oh yeah, is a huge one.
I keep hearing about it, and every time I
You
have
keep
this
hearing about
problem.
it?
Yeah, people keep talking about it, and I have this problem with One Piece, where it's the ugliest fucking looking thing I've ever seen in my entire goddamn life, and every time I see a character from it, I'm like, disgusting. Get that shit out of my eyeballs. As a well-known anime hater, I can't even say it's bad because, like, maybe it's good if you could stand to look at it for 2 seconds. I can't even, assess it personally.
Yeah, I mean, it speaks to my disinterest in anime that I didn't even think of it. Because that has to be that's probably bigger than Pirates of the Caribbean in terms
I
of
mean, right now for
staying
sure. Yeah.
power and just like overall profit. Like that thing's been going on forever. That's my issue with it. There's like 8 billion fucking episodes. I don't have time for that shit. Stop it. What are you, a daily newspaper comic? Cut it out. Yeah, I'm sure there's some One Piece games. There's also I thought of Zack and Wiki, which is also a pirate game.
No idea what that is.
Yeah, it's okay. No, most people don't. There's then another Our Flag Means Death was a pretty good pirate TV show from recently. So
I've heard of
a,
that.
a lot of these I do like. I'm a fan of, and honestly, whenever now that I'm thinking about it, often when the pirate genre is employed, I'm into it. Like you said, there's something in the same way I think the Wild West has this. I think the fantasy of the genre is the freedom that you have, the
Hmm.
idea that you're on a boat, you're the captain or you're the crew or whatever, and there's no rules. You can go wherever you want. You go to one
Hmm.
port, but people don't know who you are. You go to another port, you do something new. You can steal, you can kill, all those things I wish I could do so bad.
Yeah, yeah,
There's a
and
third thing they do too, but you
yeah,
know.
we won't get into that. I mean, this is one of the other things that Pirates, has over westerns and still does for sure is that like we are much the stereotype of pirate, the pirate genre, is very much based on like late 1600s, early 1700s, right? It bears no resemblance to like say modern day Somali pirates, right? Like it's a totally different thing. Um
Yeah.
and so it's like any
Okay, my
kind
favorite
of like
pirate movie is what the fuck. I ruined the joke because I can't remember the name of the fucking movie with Tom Hanks. The one
mm,
that you didn't know, that extremely famous line. I had to tell you what it was. Captain Phillips? Captain Phillips, I think. All right, sorry,
mm.
go on. Keep going.
But yeah, like because it's so far in the past, it's very much like divorced from any sort of modern like politics or worldview, right? It's just like, maybe at the time you could say like, okay, when you make a pirate a story, you maybe you're saying something about people who really exist, and maybe you have opinions on that. But now it's just like, listen, these are caricatures of historical like it doesn't fucking matter, right? It doesn't matter. Like the you can make it a Robin Hood story, and it's not like, oh, but real pirates do terrible things, or you can make it a story about bad. Well, like it doesn't matter, right? Whereas the Western is like still fairly recently like a genre basically designed to give credence to the idea of like manifest destiny and
Here we go.
American exceptionalism, and this idea that like we own and deserve the land and can do whatever we want with
Wah,
the people
wah,
who
the
live on
fun
it.
police.
I know, but here's the thing, like this is not me saying I hate the modern Western. What I'm saying is there isn't really the modern Western is entirely just like it's not what it used to be. There used to be a time when it does this, and any modern Western is basically them being like, oh, yes, now it's all dour and gritty, and remember how terrible
Mm.
things were? Like, you can't, the idea of the fun Western where we just go bang, bang, shoot them all, like, that just doesn't exist anymore, and it doesn't exist anymore because people are aware of this, right? Pirates can do that still.
Yeah, I'd say I don't know that it doesn't exist at all, but it is certainly, even a Western that is fun will still have some element of, like, I don't know, like Django Unchained or something. I would still
Hmm.
say that's like a fun movie, but it of
Hmm.
course deals with it, deals with the bad stuff too in an explicit way.
Yeah,
But yeah,
there's no
pirate.
big Jakes being made today.
No, very few big jakes, and pirates are, I think, yeah, have not had that. It's just is a fantasy. I
Hmm.
don't even know. Is there even one pirate movie where they actually deal with how horrible pirate stuff actually was? I don't
Yeah, I
know.
mean, in because like you could, but it's like if you did, it would just be because that's the story you want to tell. Like, because who cares, right? Like it's
Yeah. Well, it's
yeah.
interesting because today's game does sort of, at least a little bit,
All right, this is
purport to
about a
be
game.
historically accurate, or at least is attempting to kind of give you,
Hmm.
like it's set in a real place in a real time, and give you kind of a sense of history. It's not a pure fantasy in the way some of these things are.
Hmm.
Um, Beyond Pirates, I do know who Sid Meier is. I am a little surprised you didn't know his name, but I guess I shouldn't be. I just thought Sid Meier's Civilization was so ubiquitous, that title, but I guess it's
Mm.
not if you're not
Yeah,
aware.
I always hear civilization or civ
Right.
sometimes.
Yeah,
I know
right.
it's
That's
called that for
true.
short. That's pretty
Right.
much the only thing I've ever heard it referred to as.
But so I have dabbled in the Civilization series. It's not really my favorite thing. But I have never tried to play any of his other stuff. And this is one of his earliest games. Not his first game, but it is the very first game that had his name in the title. So he had kind of already built up a little bit of a reputation, and they thought, and this was sort of a departure from his previous stuff. So the idea was, well, let's try to attract people to this by putting his name on the box, which I think is significant. I don't know. I guess we could talk about it now, but maybe we should get to box art breakdown first, where we'll see that title. This is, of course, the segment of our show where we analyze and discuss the box art of this week's game. Now, in this case, it's a little weird because there's there are multiple different covers for this game that I found. I think some of them are like American versus European, and some of them are different ports of the game. Like the game debuted on the Commodore 64, but then of course there's an IBM version, Apple II, Atari, Amiga, NES. So there's all just kind of different looks of it, and I couldn't really get a handle on which one of these is the official one people know. I mean, there's one on Wikipedia, which I guess maybe is the one we focus on.
Sure. Yeah, why not?
I don't know, but we can we can talk about them a little bit. So this main one that again is the one that they show on Wikipedia, so presumably that's the one they went with. Uh, says Sid Meier's Pirates! Exclamation point! Action and adventure on the Spanish Main, and you've got a classic swashbuckler pirate guy fighting off another guy on a ship, while in the background somebody's climbing up, and further back there are two ships crashing into each other. It looks like, or one of them's.
Mhm.
I don't know if they are directly crashing into each other, but one of them is on fire.
Mhm.
You know, kind of a classic pirate thing going on. It's got all the hallmarks you'd expect, right? Outside of an eye patch and a parrot, it's combat on the open seas.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think
What?
part of the reason to do it that way is because like there are so many paths open to you in this game. Like you're not necessarily eye patch and a parrot type of pirate guy. There's a lot of different kinds. Like maybe you're boarding a pirate ship here for your whatever, I don't know, whatever country you're aligned with. It's very clearly of the pirate genre, but it's a little bit less distinct as to like who you actually are and what you're actually doing. Um, I do like this cover. I like this style. I like the little scroll, uh, whatever you want to call it, border on this. Right? It
Hmm.
looks kind of like parchment or
Like
something.
it's on a treasure map, perhaps.
Right. Yes, exactly. I think that out of the ones that you showed me, this is my favorite here.
Yeah, I think it's probably the best one overall. The other ones look sort of. There's one that's just some ships, and
Yeah,
it's
and
like
that's kind of
that's
boring.
fine. Yeah, it's a little. There's no people on it. It's a ship with a pirate flag. Gets the
Hmm.
idea across, but that's it. There's one with a guy that just a guy in a red coat and a sword, and he just looks. I just don't like the style of his face. It's
Yeah.
very weird, and he looks like he's been
Yeah.
bogged. You know?
Oh, he does look like he's been bogged. Yeah, that's a great way to explain it. I mean, also it's just kind of boring. Like he's just like a guy. There's not much to it. Like there's this like kind of sketched nature of the ship art in the background is kind of fun, but it's mostly just him standing there, and he's not very interesting or charismatic or doing anything, and I don't really like at least the guy, even if you don't really love his style or whatever on this Wikipedia cover. I mean, he's fighting. There's a ship fight in the background. There's a guy with a dagger clambering overboard. Like it looks exciting, right? It's dynamic.
It looks more like a classic. What like you might see that as the cover of the
Yeah.
Treasure Island book.
Yeah, like who's fucking reading a book with this red coat guy? That sucks. That's the sort of like that's what you buy for like your 2-year-old. It's like a picture book called Pirates, and it's just like the pirate is on his ship. Turn the page. He sails the sea. Turn the page. Like it doesn't look fun or good.
Now, I think you were a fan of this last cover, which looks like maybe was the Apple version of the game,
Yeah.
which is a photo. It's either a photograph or certainly was modeled after a real person.
Mhm.
Maybe it's a painting. It looks like a real guy to me.
It does look like a real guy to me. It's very like it's just this guy standing here looking sexy. And like to me, this is like the most generic cover of like a romance novel. Like if you were to walk into like Target or something and you see the section with all of the like porn for older or middle-aged ladies books, right?
Where is that
It's just
section? I gotta find that.
just like Fabio or whatever sweeping some lady off his feet. Like this is the cover of one of those.
And yet, In the other one, he's showing way more of his chest than in this guy. So what the hell? They dropped the ball on that.
That's true. He's not. He should be showing more chest, I think.
Yeah, in this other one, that he's got hair on his chest. You know, this
Mhm.
is not the modern Marvel days where all movie stars must have a shaved, hairless chest.
Right, right.
This
This
is
is
a
a hairy
pirate.
guy. Yeah, but
It's a guy I can
this
relate to.
Apple cover, he's got like the smoldering gaze, you know.
Yeah. His bandana is all bunched up at the top. His hair's waving in the breeze. He kind of looks like Michael Bolton. Yeah, it's not great. So I
Does
mean,
he
none
have
of
a
these covers.
golden sword?
I think it's just. I guess it does sort of look like a golden sword.
It's not really a good metal to make a sword out
I
of.
mean, it really just looks like it is straight up made of plastic. It doesn't even look real. Like it doesn't even look sharp. I don't know if maybe he wasn't holding a sword. Some of this might be just digital.
That's true. That's true.
I think there might be some David Mattingly-esque digital magic here.
You might be right. You could easily be right.
All right. So none of these covers exactly thrill me, but I do think this one we looked at first is the best.
Yeah. No, I like this one. I think this one's fun. I'm perfectly happy with this
Sure.
one.
Sure, it's fine. Now, like I said, Sid Meier's name is on this box. It's written at the top above Pirates in looks more like a handwritten font. Maybe it's his actual handwriting. That would make sense.
Yeah, that would make sense.
It looks too sloppy for it to have been faked. Like, why not just use his real writing? Which I don't think they do that anymore in the Civ games. But this was, I mean, Sid Meier still. I don't know that there's very few other video games that have a person's name attached to them in the way that Sid Meier is to now. Mainly Civilization is obviously the big one, but especially for the time. This is a time period when game designers were rarely, celebrated, often not even credited, or like we saw in, I think it was Zelda. One of the Nintendo games had all the people's names weren't even their real names in the credits.
Yeah, I think
Like,
it
they
was
were
Zelda, yeah.
weirdly misspelled, or not even misspelled, just like not even close.
Pac-Man or something?
I think
don't know.
multiple of them may have done this.
Might have been multiple, yeah.
It just wasn't a thing anyone cared about, and certainly the publishers did not have any interest in promoting their people who worked for them. Now, in this case, the publisher Microprose was founded by Sid Meier, so he had a he had a stake in it. He had a say, and I feel like it's kind of a big moment for video games. I don't know if it ever even really sunk in with the rest of the industry, to be honest, but it's like one of the first times people maybe were conscious of the idea of this being an auteur, so to speak, to put it in film terms. One guy, because like I don't think anyone knew who Shigeru Miyamoto was at this time. Nobody really knew the names of anybody. They just knew Nintendo or Konami or Atari. And this was like a guy's name on a box, which I think is a pretty big deal for the time and even for today.
Yeah, it's
Look at it.
interesting because like when you describe it that way, it's like, yeah, I mean that does seem like a big deal. This is like the first time that we've like branded something with the developer's name, with the, again, to use movie terms, it's like from the studio that brought you whatever, or the director who brought you what, it's like, oh, if I attach this name to it, people might want to play it just because it's got the name attached. And if this is the first time you're doing that, then you better be pretty confident in this game, right? That you don't want to put your name on this game
Right.
first thing, and then it sucks, and then nobody wants to play your games anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it seems like it's a big deal. It seems like it should be a big deal, and maybe it is a big deal. But like, as the guy who didn't know Sid Meier's name, because I don't know anything about video games, it feels very academic. Like, if you say so, I mean, sure, that sounds important, I guess, but it's not something where it's like, oh, this was the first time that games had like a character who could jump around or whatever. And I'm like, Well, even as a non-video gamer, I'm aware of that as a thing.
Yeah, I can't. Video games, for whatever reason, just never did the same thing that I feel like every other artistic medium has done, where you have, obviously, there's, like in the case of movies, there's teams of people who work on
Mhm.
them, but you still say, from coming from Christopher Nolan, or
Mhm.
whoever it is. And there's very few examples of that in video games. Like Hideo Kojima is one. Even names people would know. Like, again, like a Miyamoto. I think there's, maybe it's more of a Japanese culture thing, that they are just
Mhm.
like, we're all working in this boat together, and we don't want to be too prideful or something. None of us are trying to make our big mark and take the spotlight or anything like that. But it's true in Western culture too. And their names don't have to be in the title like Sid Meier's, but it's very rare that you'll see from this guy. I could maybe name
Mhm.
like 6 or 7 of those, and even then, most people don't know those names.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that does feel like it's some kind of artifact of the like industry, the way that it's actually like created, how that's structured. But I don't know enough about it to say for sure, right? Because with a movie, you have something like a director where you can say like, you've got all these different people in this team working on it, but they're all sort of bent to this one guy's vision. And like, to what extent does a project lead on a video game have that level of like control over the vision of the game? Maybe to the same, but maybe not. Would you call it a director, or like, because maybe that's also the problem. Maybe you would call it like the project lead and nobody gives a fuck about that. But the director,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I don't. Can you, maybe you can enlighten me on this a little?
Well, they certainly do call it a director.
Okay.
So I
Okay.
mean, that's,
See, I don't
yes,
even
like,
know that shit. So.
I mean, sometimes, like, often the designers, the programmers are not necessarily the same person as the director, but yes,
Right.
like, in most modern video games, and even in video games back then, there was one person credited as the director of the game, who would, like you would imagine, be the person overseeing everything that was going on.
Hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but but at any rate, it does feel like this is a. I was thinking of it as, oh, this is a real victory for game creators, but in reality, I guess it was, well, if you want this, you better make your own company, because it's not going to happen otherwise. They're not going to give it to you. We don't even have, like, wasn't Roberto Williams's King's Quest. Although, again, that was like one of their first games, and it took a few for Sid Meier. So I do
Hmm.
think maybe as time goes on, you start to see more of it on the box, or at least it will say from the creator of
Mm.
this other game. But yeah, I don't know. This is a whole thing that we could dig into, that I don't really know that there's a right answer to. But maybe our listeners could chime in and give us their thoughts about it. All right. Let's
Love to hear
let's get
from
into
you.
the game, shall we?
Yeah, let's get into the game.
Now,
Pirates.
I sort of I think I maybe misled people, including myself, last week, because I didn't really know. I had never played
Mhm.
this before.
Mhm.
But based on my knowledge of Sid Meier and I was thinking of Civilization. I just assumed that this was more of a strategy game in the traditional kind of turn-based, or maybe real time, but more like you're on a battlefield, or a naval field,
Mhm.
you know, and you're making decisions, you're selecting guys, and you're attacking or defending, that kind of thing. And it really is not that. It really is a sim game. It's a pirate life simulation
Mhm.
game,
Yes.
in which you create a guy. You can choose a time period. I should really open up the instruction manual. I don't have that open, but you can create you choose a time period. Can choose various options, or you can kind of just let the game set that stuff up for you. If you're new, there's like specific expeditions if you want to experience like one of their more challenging scenarios, or you can just do kind of a free roam thing. And you basically just go. There's an open
Mhm.
world, which is modeled after the actual Caribbean Sea,
Hmm.
And you can visit towns, you can run into other ships and fight them. Your goal is to just amass money and along the way raise your reputation so you'll become an ensign or a captain and so on. And then eventually your character will age, may get sick, and you will either choose to or possibly be forced to retire. And you get a little summary of here's how your life went. You did this much, you get this many points to be a pirate. Go now, you can play
Hmm.
again later.
Yeah, I mean, this is, and as open as you're making it sound, I think you might be underselling just how open the
Mm,
open world of this game is.
mm,
Um, I was a little bit shocked the degree to which the world is open and almost goalless, right? Because, like, yes, your goal is sort of to amass wealth. You can do that, and you probably want a good reputation and money because that'll make your life a little bit easier. You can get titles. You could get them from the English or from the Dutch or from the Spanish or from the French, or you could just not do that. You could get land from them. You could marry some governor's daughter. You don't have to do any of these things. Um, and the game ends when you get old and have to retire, right? Or sick, right? Like there's no amount of achievement or lack thereof that ends the game. Like the game ends when your guy gets old and you're like, that was you, right? You went out there and you were a and you can, there's so much ability to just do things like, yeah, there's not, in a lot of other open world games, you might like say, well, I'm going to go to this governor and he's going to give me this quest line so I could now like do the things he wants. But it's more just like, I'm going to go to this governor and he's all like, hey, I like these guys and hate these guys. If you fuck them up, I'll give you a title. And you can go earn that title and then you can turn around and be like, you know what? You know what? He just went to war with like the Spanish, and the Spanish are offering amnesty. Fuck that guy I earned all the titles with. I'm just gonna go blow up his ships and give all that stuff to the Spaniards because I feel like it. And that's fine. And the only thing that really means for the game is that when you retired, that's what your pirate did. Right? Like the game is so, to me anyway, it seems like it's just so much like it really is like The Sims, right? Like you have a
yeah.
pirate, you're going to tell a story with him. You're going to fuck around in the Caribbean and do things, and at the end of the day you're going to have a career.
Yeah. No, 100%. It is certainly the most open game that we have played and probably was the
Mhm.
most open game at the time.
Mhm.
And maybe for several years. Like you said, the other big thing about the game is that things happen in the background regardless of your input. So a country might be allied with another country, and then that alliance might break. Every time you like stop somewhere, you can get an updated list of news, and it'll say,
Mhm.
"Oh, this place got attacked," or "This place went. These people went to war or made peace," and all that stuff just happens regardless of what you're doing. And unlike maybe the other sort of open game we played was, well, we commented on Zelda for the NES being more open. Sim City.
It's much closer to SimCity for open because like Zelda has
Yeah,
a goal that you are
right.
trying to do.
But even Sim City still is I think is more clear about,
Mhm.
like, sure, you don't have to try to make a good city, but like then
Mhm.
there's nothing else to do. Whereas here there is other stuff to do. Uh, you can, like you said, if you're just worried about your romance, or maybe you just want to find treasure and find treasure maps, and that's it. You don't really care about fighting people or something.
Mhm.
That's sort of possible to do. So yeah, it is very much go ahead. Here's a system, and you can play within it however you want. Now, the I assume that you did as I suggested and stuck to the Amiga version of this game. Is that correct?
Yes, that's what I did.
Did you at all mess around with the other versions
I
that was there or no?
Yeah, I did not. You
That's
said
fine.
do
Yeah.
the Amiga thing, so I did it. Are there significant differences or?
Yes. So I started out playing the IBM version, And I also looked at the Commodore 64 version, which is the original one. And very quickly, I played for like half an hour and was like, this is not. I think we're gonna have a bad time if we stick to this version. The biggest thing really is the graphics, or at least I should say the most obvious thing. The graphics are similar but much more primitive, and the controls, because there when this game was originally released, people didn't have a mouse, right?
Hmm.
Most people didn't. Many people didn't. Or maybe these systems didn't have a mouse. I don't even know enough about them to know. And so you were either using a joystick that you connected or the keyboard. And playing around with the keyboard controls, I found them very unintuitive and weird. And looking at the instruction manual where it had the difference of like, if you're controlling this with the keyboard, it's like this. And if it's the mouse, you just kind of move the mouse around and it like in a way that, you make sense. You guide your boat by moving the mouse. Seems much more intuitive. And so I dug around to find the Amiga version, which came out a few years later, 1990. The fundamental gameplay is all the same. I think there are maybe a couple of things like the governors might give you more missions to do, but really they are the same game. It's just a much more pleasant coat of paint, and I think a much better controlling experience. And I know this is hypocritical because I often fight for the nobility of experiencing the original versions of games. I have no nostalgia attached to this one, so maybe that's part of it. But I don't know. It just felt like if I made Will play this, he just would be fed up so quickly, and I wanted to give him a fighting chance.
Yeah, I'm intrigued because I did mostly use the keyboard to control it.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Interesting.
just because there was a lot. Like you're probably right that it just said, just move the mouse naturally and it'll be about right. And I think that is true. But there was a lot of documentation as to how to control it with your keyboard, um, because they kind of knew that everything that I read was like, so you're supposed to control it with a joystick or something, but the keyboard maps like this. So there was a lot of documentation on that, and also, I have a touchpad for a mouse, and I just didn't want to fuck around with that. But a couple of times I did like switch over just to like get through a menu faster or something.
You don't have
Um,
a USB mouse?
I did at one point, but it was really shitty, and it doesn't work anymore.
Jesus. How do you, at a certain point, when we start playing more PC games,
Yeah,
we're going
at
to
some
have to
point
get
I'll
you a
need it.
mouse.
At some point I'll need to get a new one, but
Good Lord. I can't imagine. Yeah, no, if I had a touchpad, I'd be using the keyboard too. I can't stand that shit.
I'm pretty
Um,
used to it.
and also like I don't think there's any music or very little. There's
Hmm.
not that much music in the Amiga one either, really. But at least there's
There's
some
some, yeah.
stuff. Yeah. So I just think it was better. So that's what you're mostly going to be seeing in this video is that Amiga version. By the way, I also had really no idea. All these names I had always heard reading about older games like Amiga and Commodore 64 that I never really understood what they were because I'm so young.
Hmm.
And research is like, oh, it's just like Commodore 64 is just like a Dell, it's just like a kind of
Yeah.
PC. And I never really understood. I thought maybe Commodore 64 was like, there's the Nintendo 64. So it's like a video game system, the Commodore 64. And that's
No,
not the
it was
case.
just
Just
a
shows you
type
how
of
young
PC,
I
yeah.
am. Yeah. I'm just like kind of, I don't know, I'm
Right,
just very
yeah.
youthful
'Cause
is the
you're
point I'm
you're
trying
like
to
a
make.
zoomer, sorta.
Yeah, so I got to in analyzing these different versions for the first time. I really was like, oh yeah, I see now,
That's what that
and
means, yeah.
the Amiga sure was better. Yeah, damn,
I've
they
never
really
heard of
made it
the
better.
Amiga, but I guess it was better, sure.
Yeah, it was. I mean, that's what you played, so you've
Yeah.
experienced it now.
Now I know exactly what it was like to own and use one.
Okay, so this is how we're established. I'm assuming now. Let me tell me your process getting into this game. Did you read through the entire 84-page manual? At what point did you jump into the game, and what was your initial experience like?
So I mean, I basically did read through all of it. I did end up skipping some of the sections where they just had old Captain whatever Sydney or something,
Sydney,
telling
hey, I get it.
his whatever tales about being a pirate. Um, but I did for the most part read over all of it. Um, yeah, the manual is a little bit insane. The amount of information that's in there, and there is a lot of information in there that you might not think that you need that you kind of do, it turns out. Um, one so I will say when I was playing this game, because like when I started, I just did all of the default things. It was like, okay, they say be an English guy, whatever. Um, and so I did that. Um, and what I discovered very quickly, I feel like I had a similar experience here that you did with like SimCity, where you were saying that you just had like no idea if you were doing anything right or wrong or whatever. Like just like no sense of what you were doing. And I had a similar feeling here, right? I was just like, so let's see, I could try going. Should I be exploring more, or am I just going to get lost and run out of food and supplies? Should I be capturing more ships? At what point should I be divvying up my loot to make my crew happy? Should I be trying to always sail out of the same port, or should I be sailing out of different ports? And it's kind of like, listen, technically you can do whatever you want, but like some things are gonna you're gonna have a worse time, and other things you aren't. You know, when I was building a city, I have some sense of like, okay, I need a residential district for people to live. I need an industrial district for them to work at. Those should be far apart because the industrial's yucky. I should have a commercial district for them to shop at. That should be closer, right? I need these roads to avoid traffic because I have some idea of what a city is. But almost immediately, I discovered like I had no idea if what I was doing was right or wrong. And for the longest time, my crew was just constantly unhappy with me. And I was just like, I don't know why they're unhappy. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I don't know what the problem is. Because in my head, I don't really have a historical idea of what a pirate crew was supposed to look like or do. Right. So I was just like, I sail around, I guess. So yes, very quickly I was extremely lost in terms of what I should be doing.
I think I almost have an opposite position on these two games where I agree with you. I was equally often flummoxed by how or what I should be doing at any given time. There are systems within Pirates that we'll discuss in depth that I still don't really understand.
Mhm.
Maybe I wonder if maybe you got a handle on them better than I did.
I mean, I'll tell you,
Um,
I got a handle on next to nothing in within the gameplay. If I have a handle on it, it's because I thoroughly read the manual. That'll be the
right. The difference for I think is in SimCity when I once I got to a point where I felt like I was stuck and didn't really understand how I was doing or how I should proceed, it felt like there was nothing for me to do after that. It was like, well, I guess I have to sit here and wait for my money to regenerate or I
Mm,
don't know, try to make better buildings, but I kind of already did that. I just don't really know where I'm going with this. Whereas in Pirates, if I whether or not I knew what I was doing, if I was supposed to be doing it, there was always something else I could do that felt like forward momentum. Like, okay, well, I can sail out, I can fight a guy, I'll add people to my crew. Look,
mm,
I haven't gone north yet. Let's just see what that town is. Let's talk to people there. Let's see what's there. So I never felt like I hit a wall in the same way I did in SimCity. Whether or not I was
mm.
doing well is another question.
That that is fair. That is fair. Like the whole time when I was just like, I don't know what I should be doing, and my crew seems unhappy with me, and I'm coming back. I'm like, do I have enough money to do? Okay, let's try divvying up this loot. Your crew hates it. You didn't give them enough. Oh, fuck. Oops, I accidentally stranded myself on a desert island for 6 months. Oops. Uh, like at no point did that like lock me out of playing, where I was just like, well, I guess I have to restart or grind from the beginning. Like it always was just possible to sail out with another crew. You just, like you're just a bad pirate.
Yeah, I don't.
Like
Yeah, go
yeah.
ahead.
Well, yeah, like it's basically coming back to that whole thing with the Sim City. You're optimizing a city, so if you fuck it up, you have nothing. And with this, you're telling the story of your career. So if you fuck it up, the story is that you were bad, right? It is still a story. You've still accomplished the goal of telling a story.
That is very true. I don't know that I honestly paid that much attention to the happiness of my crew. I
Mm,
was like, so it didn't feel to me like a measure of success because I was like, oh, they're mad. I don't
mm,
know what to do about it. I don't really care. I'm gonna go do something else. Um, because yeah, I guess it all just depends on which areas you want to focus on. I suppose. I
yeah.
This is certainly a game with the ups and downs come rapidly.
Mm,
There, at least that was my experience, where I often had real highs and lows where I'd be like, oh my god, I found this treasure, this is awesome, I'm gonna go out here, I'm gonna try to fight this town or whatever, and like within the next 5 or 10 minutes, oh, my entire crew has been decimated, I'm in jail, I'm back to square one completely.
I think I probably did
um
not take nearly as many risks as you. I don't think
huh
I ever. The only times I ever tried to attack a town, they just immediately repelled me, and I
yeah.
left. And I was just like, like I just never even got close to trying to do that. Yeah, I think the reason I cared so much about the happiness of my crew is because, like, I was looking at the gold that I seized, and I was like, is that good? Is that a lot? I don't maybe that's none. Maybe everybody thinks I'm poor, or maybe that's a shitload. I couldn't tell if I should be happy. And when I looked at like, oh, does the governor of this island like me? I kind of had this sense of like there is so much complexity to like the geopolitics of these islands going on in the background, and I am so far below being proficient. Like, I don't know where any of this shit is or what's going on. I can barely follow it. And so it was kind of like, I guess this guy likes me. Do I like that? Do I care about that? I don't know. Whereas with my crew, I could at least be like, yeah, my crew like me. We went out and we plundered, and I sent them home with money, and they were like, what a good captain. And so that felt like something I could latch onto, is like, I did that, but then
I was
I
like,
wasn't able to
my
do it.
crew, they help me, and then I dispose of them. They're like tools. I cared not for their well being.
I want a
which
reputation as the captain you want to sail under.
which which difficulty and like I'll tell you right now, I stuck to.
Hmm.
This was one instance we were talking about difficulty levels. This might be maybe the first game we've played that really has difficulty level. I guess SimCity also maybe had a. Did that game have like a helpy mode or at least a tutorial mode?
Maybe.
But
I don't
anyway, this
know.
one has a legit. There's like 4 different levels, and I just fully stuck to the first one, which is Apprentice and Englishman, which they say is this is for beginners. Do this. So I was like, I am fine with that because I do not feel like. I personally didn't feel like, oh, there's not enough challenge. I'm really,
Hmm.
this isn't, I don't like this. It felt fine to me. The
Yeah.
differences as they describe it are that the crew members on higher levels will not be as helpful, but they will take less gold for their share. So to me, that doesn't really feel like
Yeah.
it feels like that balances itself to some extent.
Yeah. Like if you're better at the game, you can get more money faster by playing on this higher difficulty because, you can just deal with your crew not being that good. And I wasn't even clear, like, there were some things like, oh, your crew's not as good at like sailing or something. And I was like, does that mean so there's this whole system with the map we'll get into, but does that mean that my dead reckoning numbers won't will be off? Because maybe if I learned the layout a little bit better, that wouldn't matter. I could just do that myself and maybe I could go up. Does that affect how these fights go when I board a boat? Because that was a little weird. Like it wasn't. I don't. I feel like I don't know enough about exactly what that means that your crewmates aren't as good
Yeah.
to have really been fucking around with it. And so I was just like, I'm not going to make my crewmates worse at anything until I understand exactly what it is they're doing. Because this just doesn't seem like a good idea.
Yeah, I don't really know. And I also, because it doesn't, that's the only thing it explicitly says about the difficulty levels is that crew member
Mhm.
thing, at least that I saw. But
Yeah.
then when it talks about, because you can pick a skill to be proficient in, essentially. So, like, you could
Mhm.
be really good at sword fighting, or there's like a few different options. And in the rule book, it says, well, if you're on apprentice mode, don't worry, because all of these will be just pretty easy. So then I'm like, oh, so that affects other stuff too, but I don't really know how.
Mhm.
So I don't know. Maybe this, because I found the game plenty challenging enough as I was
Yeah.
navigating it.
Yeah, no, and the I mean, what I did like with the difficulty levels, which I thought was really cool, was the choose your era and nationality, right? Where you would they have all of these places uh here in the Caribbean. They all have, these countries will be at war, these countries will not be at war. These ports deal with pirates in certain ways and these ones will not. These are the towns that have a lot of population, or this will happen. And so you end up in these positions where it's like the way that alliances work means that it's just a little bit easier to be English, but it's not that bad to be French. Dutch is a little harder. Spanish is really hard because they don't want to work with you, right? Like the English guys will be like, go pirate some Spanish ships for us and we'll give you a title. And the Spanish guys maybe won't do that or something like that. So it's just, and it's like it's more difficult, not because like we've scaled the difficulty, but just because you've placed yourself in a different part of this world.
Mm.
Um and similarly, uh, they you can choose eras as well, where it's just like, yes, which which towns exist and to what extent is different. The power of the ships and the factions that you see are different. Like they were saying, don't take the really early days, because in the really early days, the Spanish are like at the height of their power, and nobody else really has any inroads here, so it's just all Spanish all the time, and you've got to pirate them, and you're pretty much not going to get backup or a safe haven. And the reason for that is because the world is fundamentally different, right? And I thought that that was really cool, and it's fundamentally different in a way that's supposed to emulate real life or real history in some way. So I did think that that was really cool, and it also makes me feel a little bit better about playing, on easy baby mode, because it's like, well, it's not so much that I just turned down the difficulty, it's just that I chose to do the easiest scenario. This scenario
Mm.
would exist regardless. I could choose a harder one. I don't want it because I'm not good enough.
Yeah, it's like it's more like a history lesson that you're
Hmm.
experiencing.
There sure is
Let
a
me tell
fucking
you.
history lesson in that goddamn guidebook.
Now I feel like I mean I skipped over as soon as I locked into these Sydney diaries are just flavor text. I was not reading any
Hmm.
of those. Um, I did skim through the whole thing, or at least the first, all the parts that applied to the actual gameplay and weren't just like extra stuff. Like I didn't
Hmm.
read book 3. That's right. This instruction manual is divided into 3 books.
Hmm.
Which was just more like historical context and stuff like that. It does seem very intimidating at first, but I did find that in practice, a lot of it is, if not intuitive to understand, intuitive enough to get through it. you
Hmm.
know like you don't really need to have a full understanding, at least not at first, until you start getting into it, and then maybe there's a point where you go, you know what, how does this work, because now I don't know what to do and I should figure that out, and then I have it as a reference, which I like. This game did fully just make me racist. I do hate the Spanish now. Fuck Spain forever. They refuse to trade. It's fucking annoying when I'm in Spanish waters and I'm like trying to do some shit and none of them will trade with me and I'm running out of food and it sucks. Fuck the Spanish. Fuck you. I will destroy every Spanish ship I ever see. That is a promise.
You got to go to the crappy Spanish towns that are struggling, because then they won't listen to the king and they'll trade with you because it sucks too much to live there.
Well, so let me tell you on the subject of the sort of real worldness of this game.
Hmm.
I feel like I did have two kind of epiphany moments that helped me enjoy this one after just kind of sailing around for a while. One of the things that I maybe skimmed through it in the manual, but I was like, I'm not doing all that. That's not for me. Was the navigational aspect and like finding your longitude and latitude with the astrolabe,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
I was like, I'm not doing that. I am terrible with geography just in general. I was like, that doesn't sound fun. I don't care. I'm just going to sail where I sail. And at some point I was like, you know what? Someone mentioned this specific city and I have in the rule book they tell you the longitude and latitude of those cities. And I was like, all right, you know what? Let me just actually figure out where am I? Which direction should I be going to get here? And in doing that and in arriving where I wanted to go, there was a real satisfaction in that for me that I was like, well, I did it. I I figured out how to navigate and I went there. And then the next level beyond that was when I was like a light bulb in my head. Hey, wait a minute. I'm trying to figure out where this place is. This is the real world. And at some point, I did just Google an actual map
Hmm.
of the Caribbean. I was like,
Yeah.
oh shit, that's where that is. Let me go.
I was considering doing that. I did find it a little bit annoying that there was no actual map of the Caribbean in
Yes,
like
that
the
is
guidebook.
bizarre. Yes. In
Because
the game, there should be.
yeah, or in the game or something, because like that was the main issue, is that like, listen, I'm not terrible with geography, but I do not know the geography of the islands of the Caribbean. It's just not a thing. Um I did pretty quickly start using the coordinates, because it was like not that hard to just be like, oh, I just got fucking lost. Okay, fine, I'll just use this coordinates. I can just check. I know about where I'm going. Am I there? Do I need to go north, south, whatever? um like, that wasn't too hard, but like, I did have a lot of problems with this because I didn't it was kind of like, until I've been somewhere, I don't have any sense of where it is relative to anywhere else. So there is kind of this idea of like, if I want to go to this, like five different things got mentioned, and I'm looking through the recent like news log, and they're like, oh, a plague hit here, and pirates sacked here, and I'm like, so should I maybe try to go and sack that place, or should I not? Or I guess there's a Spanish outpost at these locations and Dutch outposts at these locations, but like, what is Spanish waters? What is Dutch waters? Is this like a single outpost over in Spanish waters? Well, I don't know, because there are literally 40 locations. They're all listed in alphabetical order, and they're just a set of two coordinates. So I can't get any sense of where anything is relative to each other without going there. And it's like really hard to go there. So I just kind of have to like pick a place that I think might be my next location and just wing it. Um
Hmm.
Similarly, I did find myself especially annoyed by the lack of a map, because, in real life, you would be able to use things like landmarks. So, like, for example, let's say that I know that I need to go slightly north and a decent amount west, right? And I start sailing that way, and I see an island. And it's clearly not the island I want to go to, but it's not open ocean, it's land. Well, you know, in if I had a map, I could say, I'm going around this direction. That island's probably this, so I'm maybe a third of the way there. But here I'm just like, okay, uh, is it literally on the next screen? Am I only 10% of the way there? There's not really a way to know other than checking your coordinates constantly until you get a sense of how far everything on the map is apart.
Mhm.
And I really didn't like not being able to use like some sense of landmarks. Like I don't need a perfect map where I can like get the shape one to one, right? If we're talking realism, just because I can cite the coastline doesn't mean that I can tell what island that is, right? It could be very abstract. But the fact that there is land there and I have a vague idea of where I am should tell me something. And it doesn't, and that bothers me. Now, if I was a big pirate head, that might be different.
Or a big
Because then
map
I would
guy.
know. Yeah, if I was a big map guy, maybe I would already have this map.
I thought you were a big fucking map guy. You love maps.
I do love maps. That's why I wanted one.
Yeah, it is pretty annoying. I will tell you, I pretty much ignored anything that came from those news reports. Like it never seemed that relevant to me. I didn't really care. Maybe just because I was too busy trying to figure out the game to like reckon with any of that stuff. For me, like the places I was trying to go, one time was I had a treasure map, and I also kept having. I assume this is a thing that always comes up, but I don't really know how much of this stuff is random or not. But did you also have a quest to find your long lost sister?
I did. I had a map for it, but as far as I could tell, like I went off to go fight the guy who knew where she was, and I got a map for where she was. But I don't think the map had any location on it. It just had like the shape of the island, I guess. So, or unless I missed something. So I was like, I guess I just eventually, in the course of sailing around, will recognize that. But that didn't happen.
Yeah, so as you keep playing, if you keep talking to governors and stuff, or
Hmm.
sometimes if you capture people, pirates or something, they'll actually keep giving you more pieces of info, and can get you'll complete like you'll get four pieces
Mm-hmm.
of that map. Like if you just did it once, you just had probably the like upper left quadrant or something.
I see.
But I still think you do have to just find it visually.
Hmm.
It doesn't like show you the location, but it helps to have a better, more complete picture of it. But I found that at a certain point, that became my driving thing that I was
Mm.
trying to do. That felt like the closest thing to a narrative. I knew I wasn't a very good pirate. I wasn't very good at attacking towns or getting loot, but I was like, this is a thing that feels cool. I want to know what happens when you find your sister. I'm going to try to track down all these maps and sail around and go for it. I regret to inform the audience and you that I didn't succeed in this. I got at least, I think I got 3 pieces of the map. And I was even
Mm.
trying to look at a real map again to be like, which island could this be? Which area should I go to? But
Hmm.
I retired and I never managed to figure it out. But I
I
want
see.
to. I'd
Yeah,
like to.
I had gotten that piece and I was like, that seems like an interesting thing to do. I wonder if it's like right next to where I was or something. And then I was like, oh no, this is a long-term quest. And I was like, all right, I don't know where anything is and I don't really know how to navigate. So I'm just gonna table that from now. And someday I'll come back to it if it
Yeah.
pops up. And then it just kind of didn't. And that was fine. It wasn't a big deal.
The
I
other
did dig up some treasure. That was something.
the other sort of long-term quest that I didn't make progress in is to get a wife. Did you get any wives?
I mean, there was a person who was clearly set up to be a wife, but she was being wooed by someone with a higher rank than me.
I'm pretty sure those are at like every island.
Yeah, that's what I figured. That's what I figured. I wasn't really trying that hard, but I was like, yeah, I mean, I'll try to woo her if I manage to match this guy's rank, but I didn't really do that.
I did try to propose marriage to one person just immediately after meeting them. I was like, they made it an option, so maybe you can sometimes. And she was like, why would I ever be with someone of such a lowly rank as you, worm?
So you probably do have to get up to that rank then.
Or at least, yeah, something
Yeah.
close to it, maybe past it. I don't know. But
Hmm.
yes,
Well,
that
it
was,
said
yeah,
that she was interested in me. So I was like, if
right.
I match rank, that's got to be good enough.
But then if you can just choose to make conversation and then it's like nothing happens. It doesn't
Mm.
give you any indication that, oh, you like raised her like of you
Yeah,
or
no, this
something.
is
I don't really know if that's true, or if you're just supposed to, if the only mechanic there is B rank marry.
Hmm.
Like, I don't think there's a real in-depth dating sim going on in here, although there could be. There could have been. I guess that would be one of the only women depicted in the game until you find your sister, I suppose. Let's talk about the
Presumably.
combat
Hmm.
here, because that is outside of sailing and talking to people. Most of what you're doing probably is some form of combat in this game,
Hmm.
and there's sort of, I'd say there's like three different versions of it. There's naval combat where you're two ships shooting at each other. There's land combat where you have different troops you can move around and shoot at other troops. And then there's, I guess, naval combat. You could also be shooting at a fort as well. And then there's ship combat where you're in a side scrolling sword fight, classic two guys dueling on the ship thing.
Hmm.
Um, how did you how many of these did you manage to wrap your head around? How successful were you? Did you find them easy, fun, interesting?
So, like I said, I never really managed to do an attack a fort thing. Like every time I saw like a city that I might want to attack, either it had like no place that I could land, and so it was just like I'd sail up to it, and they'd be like, "Nope, you were repelled," and I never even got into like the mini game of it, or I would go there and I'd be like, "Could I attack this place?" And they'd be like, and it'd be like, "They have 4 forts and 500 men," and I'd be like, "All right, I can't. Never mind." So I never really got into that. As far as the ship to ship combat, where you're firing things off the broadsides at each other, I did a lot of it, and I shot a lot
Yeah.
of gunfire at them that seemed to hit, and it seemed like they shot a lot of gunfire at me that seemed to hit, and at no point did any ship ever take any damage in any of these confrontations, me or my opponent. So at a certain point, I was just like, I don't really understand why I'm doing this when I could just run into them and board them, and then I could do the combat, and then something would happen. Like, I would either lose or win. Like, I don't know what this is, so I have
Well,
no idea how that works.
well, I can maybe help you a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, did you notice that if you actually successfully hit them, there is sort of a red, like there are sparks and kind of like a little tiny explosion that
I
is different from if you miss. Because
Nobody ever
sometimes,
took any damage, so I don't know that me or they ever hit another ship. I saw the projectiles come out of my ship
right?
and
But did you
seem to
see?
land on their ship.
But there is, because you can get your cannons very close, but if it's not an actual hit, you won't see the little red explosions.
Mm. And maybe there were, and maybe there weren't. All I know is that it said no damage at the end of all of these encounters on both ships.
Okay, so now
I
what
don't
I
know.
noticed was, I don't know about the no damage. To be honest, I don't remember whether or not
Hmm.
that changed, but I definitely noticed. So when you're on this naval screen, it'll show you the ship's amount of guns and men, and I
Hmm.
definitely saw the guns and men
Hmm.
lower if I was shooting the other ship effectively.
Hmm.
So
Maybe
that
that
is
happened.
so
I
there
don't know.
definitely is something that happens. Now, that said, my final conclusion was the same as yours because no matter how long I did that, it still just felt like I never saw a ship get sunk.
Yeah.
And it just seemed like, yeah, I should just get into them. Like sometimes I would think, oh, they have more men than I do. So maybe I
Yes, you
should shoot
soften
them a
them up.
few times, right? And then go for the kill. But it seemed like, especially when these ships you're encountering, they're kind of like random battles in the ocean. You can choose whether or not to engage. They happen very frequently. So when you're doing this enough times, after a while, it's like, I don't feel like doing this shooty shoot back and forth thing. Just let me collide with them and get it over with. So yeah, I don't really know what the deal is with the naval combat. It feels like there's something I'm missing. And
Hmm.
similar with land combat, I also failed at that, and I don't really know. I think I just
Yeah.
needed more men. I think you just need a ton of troops to do it
Hmm.
successfully.
I mean,
I don't know.
additionally, when you are doing this ship to ship combat, I mean, it said in the manual you are supposed to be able to have your sails in two different configurations, one that makes you faster and more
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
vulnerable, and one that makes you slow. And I could not like, I was pressing the buttons to do it, and it was not, as far as I could tell, nothing was changing. I don't know what the hell was happening. Maybe it was and I didn't notice, but I didn't see any visual indicators or different words, or my ship seemed to move differently, and I don't know what I was doing wrong there. Like, at a certain
I
point, I was just like, "I guess I'll take a shot if I have it, but otherwise I'm just trying to get on board or something."
Yeah, I mean, using the mouse, it was right click, and it did have I mean, at least I knew there was sails up, I'm going faster, and then I would if I right clicked again, I didn't realize it had
Mm,
any effect on battle. Maybe I missed that part, but I was like, sails are up, I'm going faster now. So it did do
mm.
some. It did have a little. It did say in the corner, sails
Maybe
rising or sails lowering.
maybe I
But
screwed up the controls or something, I'm not sure.
yeah, you probably should have
Anyway,
used a mouse.
I guess. Anyway, the main combat that I engaged with was the dueling, right? When you board a
Sure.
ship and you fight their captain, and then all of your men fight their men, and your men do better if you do better, right? Because you boost their morale or whatever.
And that's
Um,
all in the background. Like you don't. It's just a number. You
yeah,
don't actually see it.
yeah. You see numbers, and then you see the state of your men. Like, are they strong or firm or angry or scared or panicked or whatever, kind of thing.
Mhm. Yeah. And
Um,
this was the one I did the most and the one
mhm.
that I had the most success with. That doesn't mean I understood it, however.
Yeah, so I mean, I I I understood what was said about how it worked, and trying to press buttons, like, in terms of, like, okay, there's just neutral parrying attacks, there's parry and retreat, and then there's forward attacks. Like, and the high ones have longer reach but take longer, and the low ones have shorter reach but are faster. And then you can, like, also do a slashing attack, which is slower but double damage on any of those. And, like, using that as my guide for what button inputs to press did seem to work. Um the thing is, it's said in the manual, and I think it's correct, that you are not controlling the motions of your character. You are controlling the combinations he does. And so it was kind of like, okay, so if I um say I want to do a longer range, slower hit because he's kind of far away from me and I want to close the distance, um I don't like immediately do that. I do a combination that does that. So I sort of do it. But, like, I couldn't quite tell where a combination begins or ends. So it was kind of like, there's some. Am I just doing this until I put in another input? How long does it take until I do the hit? How long do I have to react to what he's doing? What is he doing? It was not clear to me what was actually going on screen. But I did feel like I was basically doing the inputs that I said.
I don't even remember this word combination. I didn't even like pay enough attention to see that. Oh yeah, I see here. These motions form combinations. I don't know that's just such a strange thing. I just was like, I don't know what that. I just looked at the controls and was
Mhm.
like, hit high, hit low, parry, retreat, etc. Yeah, I again. So you were doing this with arrow keys or something?
Mhm. Mhm.
Because I mean, this was like the main area that I felt like I don't know what I would do without a mouse for this,
Hmm.
where I just simply moved the mouse up, down, or in the middle to like change my positioning of the sword, or brought it to the right to like parry back or up or
Mhm.
whatever. And then left clicking the mouse was, initiating a hit. And I think I just attribute a lot of, I'm not going to say that I understood this at all because I sort of didn't. But maybe I attribute it more to being on apprentice mode, and also I did
Mhm.
pick the fencing skill. I don't know about you.
I think I did too. I'm not sure though.
It was the first one. It seemed like the logical
Yeah.
choice, and so I always sort of I don't know if I ever lost one of these, to be honest. Maybe once or twice, but the vast majority of them, and I did plenty, I managed to win. And sometimes I'd be like, oh no, my guy's starting to get scared. And then I'd somehow figure it out, but I don't really know
Interesting.
why.
So every time that I went after a nationality ship, I won. But I think basically every time it would say like, "Oh, that's the dreaded pirate Edward or whatever." They would get me into a panic mode and I would be like, "I'm just going to retreat here." They like outnumber me in guys and I'm quickly panicking and I don't really know why. It really felt like it's much, much harder to take out other pirates than it is to take out just like, some merchant ship or whatever, or some
Um,
Spanish galleon.
Maybe they just had better ships and stuff and more men, and that maybe
Mhm.
that was it. I don't know.
Mhm.
I did fight a few pirates that I beat. The vast majority of my time fighting was against the Spanish.
Mhm.
'Cause fuck those guys. But yeah, I just kind of was like, I moved the mouse around. Like it was almost just like I was going on vibes. Okay, it seems like if I hold left and like up, and he's sort of being a little uppy right now. So I'm going to kind of I hit him. All right, cool, cool, cool. Just do that. Just keep doing that. Oh, it's working. It's working. It's working. Oh, it's
Mhm.
not working. Go back a little. Go back. That seems to be helping me. Okay. I couldn't tell you why what I did was effective or when. Honestly, like probably I'm guessing the game was just helping me along a lot
Mhm.
with the easier mode. But yeah, I don't. I enjoyed it to some extent. It felt like cool, and it felt like, oh, I'm accomplishing something, and then I get their ship and yada yada. But I don't know. It is funny when we eventually do get to the secret of Monkey Island. There is pirate sword fighting in that is a very similar looking visual, that it's two people side by side in a side scrolling field with swords going back and forth, but the mechanics of it are very different. And I'm wondering if that was a direct joke to this game. I don't know.
Mm. Yeah, we'll
Anyway,
see.
um, but yeah, that is like what a lot of the game is okay, there's a ship coming. Okay, it's the flag that I don't like. It's not like a huge ship. Let's try and kill him.
Mhm.
Okay, I killed him. I took their stuff, and then you decide, well, you can take their ship or you can sink it. And you probably want to take their ship if it's a good one and it has more room for the stuff you steal, but if you don't have enough men, then
Mhm.
may have to abandon a ship because you don't have enough people to do it. Plus, when you go into combat, I think you only take one ship, so then you have fewer men on it to fight
Mhm.
with you.
Yes.
So I also didn't quite grasp the intricacies of when I should or shouldn't take a ship. I usually just did it if I needed the space and didn't if I didn't.
Yeah. I think I was lost too much in like open waters for this to really become an issue because I was doing too much just like returning. I did generally take the ethos of like if I return to port, I'm selling all the ships but one just so that I can bank that money. And then I'll just capture more ships for if I need more cargo room when I went out or when I go out. But I did like I was trying to like there is this issue right where you need to have extra men to crew ships and I was sort of figuring out at a certain point that because I cared about my men being happy, I was kind of figuring out that I think part of the reason they're not happy is because I keep
Mm,
hiring more
yeah.
guys, and
Yeah,
that
yeah.
means that their cut's going to be lower. So I
Right.
was like trying to keep my number of guys high enough that I could still win all the fights and bring home a ship or two, but not like I don't want to get guys everywhere I go. So like sometimes you would just be like I got a big capture and I'm in a nice area to get more ships and more ships are appearing, but like I have 16 guys and there's 8 per ship. So eh,
It
man, I
feels
don't want to
like
just lose everything.
the trajectory of the game seems to me, well, the intended trajectory is
Mhm.
you go out and do a bunch of battles and do
Mhm.
things for the governors that they want you to do, and amass a big crew with good ships.
Mhm.
And then uh, periodically, this is the thing that I don't really understand, but periodically you divvy up the loot, but then when
Mm.
you do that, you kind of lose your crew, right? Like they leave.
Yeah. Well, so what it said in the manual, right, was that you basically like if your crew's not happy with you, you're going to start getting deserters every time you touch down and they won't do as well in combat. Um so you do want to keep some level of morale there. And basically your crew only gets paid when you divvy up the loot. So if you keep your crew around, I think it said like it's really hard to keep your crew around for over a year, and 2 years is basically impossible. So like at some point you have to start being like, all right, guys, you did a good job working for me. I'm selling off all my shit. We're divvying it all up. And I'll just start from scratch, but I'll have more money and more reputation. So when I set out, I'll have better stuff. But you do have to like reset periodically, I think, for that
Yeah.
reason.
That's what I struggled with because it felt like, and also when you do that, like they say, okay, do you want to retire now? It feels like that helps maybe with your reputation because it's like, oh,
Hmm.
you like completed a chapter of your journey or something. I don't know if that's
Hmm.
true. That's what it felt like. But it was like a choice between selling all my stuff and like paying my crew, but then I have to also kind of start from scratch. So
Hmm.
I didn't want to do it unless I felt like I had a significant amount of stuff with me that it was worth it to do. But I didn't really know if that was correct. I was just sort of
Yeah.
going with my gut.
Yeah, I mean this kind of comes back to what I was saying at the beginning, right? Where like I was selling my stuff a lot more frequently than just being like, "Eh, screw it." But I have absolutely no sense of, in the way that I know what a good city looks like. Does a good pirate look like he just captures some ships and when he has enough loot to pay his men, he sends them off and now everybody, and that's good because it means you'll start with better gear because you got your money and you'll have better crewmates because everyone knows you pay out? Or would a good pirate amass a large fleet and only let go of his crew when he can't possibly hold on to them anymore? Because the longer journeys pay off better or something. Like, what would a good pirate look like? And I have no clue, right? No intuition for this whatsoever.
And maybe the answer is it's well, up to you. Maybe it's just a style
Mm.
choice. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think that this game cares less if you're a bad pirate, but I do think that there is like probably a way to be a good pirate versus a bad one.
Yeah, I mean, you do get a score at the end, so like clearly there is some more efficient way to do things.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I think the difference between us is I do have a slightly better idea of what a good pirate looks like than what a good city looks like.
Mm.
I could, if I had to choose, like, would you like to be a pirate or a city planner? I'd be like, I'd probably do a little better as a pirate, honestly. I mean, I'm probably still gonna die, but like, I don't know. I'll kind of have something going on.
Yeah, I mean, as a pirate, I would just be like, I don't know. Is it just like fucking? Are you Johnny Depp? Is that what it is? I don't
Hey,
know. Like
listen,
no idea.
you and I both have more experience with piracy than we do with city planning.
That's true. That is, I can't deny that.
On technically speaking, we are pirates.
Yes, I mean, there's no denying this. Uh,
Can't deny it. Won't elaborate further, but I think the people know. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. There's a lot of that. Like, there is just this sort
mhm,
of air of, even after having read this whole manual, you still kind of feel like, what am I really doing? But maybe that
yeah.
is the point. Maybe you're not supposed
Mhm.
to feel like you know what you're. Maybe you are supposed to be able to do whatever you want, and they didn't want to nudge you
Mhm.
too hard in a direction.
Yeah, I mean, I got the sense playing this that this game has a lot more to offer you if you know about pirates and history. Like not like media pirates, but like actual historical pirates. Like if you know what the political situation of the Caribbean in the mid 1600s looked like and you knew the stories of all of these pirates, like you could have a really good time weaving these interesting stories and webs around here in ways that I was just not prepared to engage with. Because I just, it's like there's all these things going on, and there's all these shifting alliances, and there's all these things, news bits coming out of these different ports, and I have no idea how to get there. I have no idea where I stand. I have no idea what like X, Y, or Z thing happening means. And I got the sense that if you do know, if you love this sort of thing, like you could have so much fun just being a guy forever in this game. Whereas with me, I'm just kind of like a doofus sailing around being like, "Oh, I guess I took a ship or something. That's pretty cool."
I think I'm right in the middle, actually, because I think I'm
Mm,
a doofus like you, but I still felt like I still enjoyed I'm having an adventure, I'm
yeah.
creating a story. I still had that.
Yeah. Now that's not to say I didn't enjoy that, right? Like
Yeah.
I do think that it did feel like, there's a difference between just being like, I'm shit at this game. I don't know what I'm doing. And being like, I guess I'm just a doofus. I'm a bad pirate who's just going around and doesn't know what he's doing, right? Because in that second example, you'll notice I have bought into the premise, right? Like if I say, like I'm saying, I'm a bad pirate, not I'm a bad gamer, right? And so in that sense, like it does get its hooks into you, I think.
This game did get hooks into me. I got to tell you.
Hmm.
It was honestly, this is the first game that we've played for the show in a while. I guess the difference is like I liked King's Quest, but that game was, short. This was an example of a game where I was playing it and had to do something else and legitimately was like, I'm going to be thinking about this game. I wish I was playing more of this game instead of doing whatever else I need to do. It, especially, like I said, once I started, for me, the hook was I had a treasure map and I was working towards seeing, like thinking about, well, where's my sister? How do I progress that line? And those things made the game stick in my brain of like, oh, I have a desire and urge to keep exploring. It feels like I'm getting somewhere here, which is
Mm.
doesn't always happen even with the games that we play for the show that I like. A lot of times it's like, yeah, Donkey Kong is great, but it's like I can turn it off and I'm not like, man, I can't wait to get home and play Donkey Kong.
Mhm.
I've kind of had my fill of that for
Yeah,
a minute.
I never really got to that point with this game. To me, it felt less like the game got its hooks into me, and I was very engaged and was interested to play more, and more like I could see the real temptation. Like the game was showing me that like, hey, if you want to devote yourself to like kind of learning the lore, like where are all of these people? Where are all of these places? How exactly does all of this work? You're gonna have a really good time playing it, and I could tell that was true, that I would have a really good time if I did that, and I was having enough of an enjoyable time. It's like it's holding out this temptation. Like, don't you want to become kind of obsessive about this? And if I weren't playing it for a podcast, if I had just experienced this game when I was like 12 or 13, I could see that. I
Hmm.
could see this is the sort of game that I really like, the kind of game that you can kind of play forever and there's not really an ending to it, right? There's just like you get to know more and more about it and inhabit the world of it more and more over time. Right. Like because at the end of the day, the end goal is just you play through a pirate career. I could have a different career. I could have a better one.
Yeah.
I could have a worse one. I could do this. I could do that. Um, and the more that I understand the game, the easier of a time I would have navigating all these different ways I could play it, as opposed to just bumbling around and running out of food and getting shipwrecked or whatever. Which is still fun. Like that's the thing. It is still fun, but um yeah, like, the problem really was that, like, I'm playing this with this idea that's like, I'm playing this for the week, and that's why I'm playing it, and next week, even if I'm not done with this game, I'll have to go play a different game, you know? Uh, and that's probably gonna eat into my focus, And do I really want to pick up a game like this? I mean, like, I'm also, there's a new Pokemon game and all blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, you know, it's much harder for me to just say, like, I'm going to get totally obsessively invested in some new thing now in my 30s than it would have been had this been brand
Damn,
new
you're old.
when I was 12, you know?
Yeah, I think that's very fair. I,
Mhm.
I guess I put a little more. I kind of projected more of
Mhm.
imagining what that life could be, and like factored that into my briefer enjoyment of it.
Yeah. Well, it's not like I
I get
wasn't
it. I get it.
seeing that. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think the only difference is that you
We might end
you
up landing in
were
the same place, to be
yeah,
honest. But yeah.
I think we might, but I think the only difference is that you kept being enticed to come back and I kept
Mm.
being like I haven't put in the mental effort to be enticed to come back, but it is enticing to put it like the idea that I could put in that effort, I can see it.
And listen,
I'm not.
I
You
only
looked up a
did.
map. I didn't quite get to that point, like a real map.
Right.
That's
Right.
really.
Yeah. And that was the
Mhm,
what was the most fun to me was discovering things about the game and starting to
mhm,
understand individual systems. And it does feel like the kind of thing where it's like, okay, this, this one life that I did lasts like a couple hours, a few hours. I don't know how long it lasts if you're good at the game, but for me, it's like a couple hours. And,
mhm.
and then it's like next time I'll really hone in on the naval combat and understand that. And like after a series of lives, eventually I'll really like understand every system, and then I'll be firing on all cylinders. And that's when I'll try to. Now I'm going to go for that score, and I'll sort of a
Mm,
mental achievements list of what that could
interesting.
be.
Yeah, because I
Um,
would have been less interested in that and more interested in like, well, now that I've figured out how to go around and do all the things that I like to do in the golden age of buccaneering, man,
mm,
what would it be like to be a pirate when it's very hostile to buccaneering? Or what would it
mm.
be like to be a pirate when it's still decent to be a buccaneer, but like there's a lot more, it's a lot less Spanish dominated. There's a lot more shifting, complex factions, right? Like I think for me it would have been a lot more about like investing in the world of the game through through an investment in real history and geography. That was enticing me about it.
I think I'm too scared to mess with those. After the
Mm,
Sim City scenarios that are just hard and weird, that was sort of the vibe I got. Was like, do these when you sort of know what you're doing. I'm like, just
yeah.
give me the open
So
ended. I don't know. I'll do whatever I
mm.
want.
I was still thinking about the open ended because you can
Mm.
choose your time period, but
Yeah,
you
yeah,
bring up a
yeah.
point. There are scenarios you can play that are based on real
Right,
pirates that I
right.
did not try because, as you said, they sounded like you needed to know what you were doing. And I was like, I do not.
Yeah, yeah. I guess yeah. The just you can just still choose the time
Mm,
periods and still be free. Yeah, yeah. There's
mm,
I'm sure there's interesting stuff to do in that as well. What if any
mm.
of the I guess the one aspect maybe we have talked about less is when you do go to a town and you can go to the tavern and talk to the governor. I don't know. Is there anything there that needs to be mentioned that we didn't?
Yeah.
It's not exactly like
I
that
don't
in
know.
depth.
Yeah, it was just kind of weird. I don't know that I got. So one thing that I am pretty sure I did was I ended up playing a lot safer than you because it was like, well, I knew that all the Spanish ports were hostile and I didn't want to just get lost somewhere and I kept just being in open waters and being like, I want to find like Dutch waters or something. Oh, but I don't know where I found them and it's hard for me to sort all of these locations by which ones are Dutch and which ones close to me because there's fucking 40 of them. So I did end up like kind of coming back home to the same port very often when I think you should probably be bouncing around more. Um, and
Hmm.
because of this, most of my governor interactions were with the same governor, who did improve my title every once in a while
Yeah.
and all of that. But for the most part, it was kind of like I'd go to a French guy and he'd be like, "Oh, you could bribe me since remember when you attacked that ship of ours?" And I was like, "Yeah, I was just fucking around." Oh, but I don't have enough money to bribe you right now, so oh well. Or I'd
Yeah.
land at a Spanish place and it's just like, I'm not even gonna bother. I know you guys don't like me, so like I don't know that I got the full governor experience, you know?
Yeah, I don't know that I did either. I think that bouncing between the same one makes sense, honestly, because like you said, that is like I
Mhm.
ended up for whatever reason, a lot of my things just ended up in Spanish waters. Maybe it's just because I was there already, so the game was telling me to go to places nearby because it was made sense.
Mm.
But then I found some Dutch guy, and he was happy I kept killing the Spanish because they were at war, and he kept giving me titles, and I was like, this guy's cool. This is my bro. I
Mm.
hate the Spanish. I'll stay here.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I wanted to kill Dutch guys because the English guy was like, the governor who I was there with was like, you got to kill Dutch guys because we're at war with them now.
Right.
But I didn't really know. I couldn't really figure out where the Dutch waters were. I didn't really know.
I found
Yeah.
it by
I mean,
accident.
again, I don't really know. Is it better to always sail out of the same port, or is it better to wander more, or are those both completely valid play styles? I have no conception of this, you know.
Yeah. Well, you do get ranks with each nation.
Mhm. Yes.
So I get, yeah, maybe you want to do them all. I don't know. Is it possible to like max them all out in one playthrough? I don't know what the best you can possibly do in this game is, or if it matters.
Yeah. Like to me, that felt less like a doing well thing and more like a hey, in this playthrough, I'm gonna try to do this. Like it felt like that holds meaning to me in the sense of understanding what's going on politically between these entities and like who I'm aligned with, and less because like, do you think I could max them all out type of thing?
Yeah, well, that's my
Like,
gamer brain. I
yeah,
want to
yeah,
100% it.
yeah, no, I'm far more interested in the idea of like telling a story where I like max out one guy and then betray them for the other guy than I am in do you think I could max them both or something like that? That's less interesting.
It's very board game esque in a lot
Mhm.
of ways, I think. It actually reminded me a lot of there's a board game called Forgotten Waters, which is a very comedic game and kind of a narrative game as well. You use an app and there's voice acting and stuff, but you're all a pirate crew and you do go to different islands and basically there's options to like go to the tavern or go to the talk to the I don't know if it's the governor but something similar, and then there's also ship combat which kind of has a similar version of this. It's you have dials that represent like their sails, their hull or whatever, or their crew, and you'd whittle them down. I wonder how much that game was inspired by like maybe this game is
Mm.
more influential in the pirate world than I realized. Now having played it, and the gaming world for that matter, with like you said, just everything being so open and the
Mhm.
stuff that's going on in the background and all that. Um,
Yeah, the sheer like it's so much more open world than most open world games. Like it really is like on the level of something like The Sims, I think, from my understanding of what The Sims is.
it's more like, or
Like
even Minecraft, right?
I like
It's
yeah, I mean, I was gonna say, like Minecraft being one of the few games I've played, in some ways it's more open than Minecraft because even though Minecraft doesn't really give a shit what you do, there are like credits that you would have to take a specific series of actions to reach. Like you can speed run Minecraft by getting to the end of it. What would that even mean in a game like this? Right? Like I have no like
that's
that
not my Minecraft.
yeah, no, I mean it's not, but like but the point is that that exists as a thing you could do. And in this game I don't know that it even exists at all. This is just the like free form expression part of it as far
Yeah.
as I can understand anyway.
Yeah. I guess, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's up to you. Like it's what you
Yeah.
make your goal.
Yeah.
The do you know anything about the game Sea of Thieves?
I know the name.
Great.
I have heard it
Uh,
before.
but that is that is kind of similar in this. It's almost more of a social game. It's multiplayer online, so
Mm,
you and you could do it by yourself,
interesting.
but you can play with other few other people can be a crew on your boat, and it's you actually like navigate and you actually somebody has to pilot it, somebody has to do the sails, and then you get to various islands and look for treasure and stuff. And it's like an ongoing game where you can just go online, sort of I guess kind of like if you had a Minecraft server, where it's like it doesn't end. There's not a story, so to speak. So it does that sort of philosophy does seem to lend itself to the pirate genre. I
Hmm.
don't know. How
Yeah.
about,
Yeah.
did you ever find the treasure? What are the treasure fleet or the silver train?
I did not find them. I probably could have been looking, but like it was like trying to keep track of where all of the shit was enough on its own, and trying to line that up with the date, and then me just having like no sense of how fast time was passing or how far away things were. I was just like, I'm not gonna try to intercept any of that. But I felt like but again, the depth here, if I really understood like exactly the size of the space and the speed I was going at and the time that it was at any given moment, it did feel like I could be intercepting these things and really making a killing, or not. But yeah, it felt like that wasn't on the table.
For listeners, this, if you haven't played the game, this is like, there's these two things that I guess are like the big robberies that it feels like another maybe climactic thing you can
Hmm.
go for in the game is, if you get good
Yeah.
enough and you track them down, you can try to rob the treasure fleet or the silver train.
Yeah.
And
This is like a regular scheduled transport of treasure.
it's like an
um
armored car.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Right. Like once a year, the treasure fleet takes a passage through all of the different territories or whatever, and transports all the fucking gold back to Spain. And so if you know where it's going to be and you can hit it, you can go crazy or something like that.
Now
Right.
I just happened to, I was in a town and they were like, somebody told me, "Hey, the treasure fleet is in this town right now."
Mm.
And I believe this was, I was on like such a high because it was the first time I successfully navigated to a town and found a treasure, and I was like, I'm unstoppable. I'm
Mm.
so good at this game. I figured it out. This is fun. I have so much gold. I have an awesome crew. This rules. Fuck it. Let's go. Let's fucking take on the treasure fleet. And I just got my ass kicked. I had no idea what I was doing. And I like died and lost all my shit. Went to jail or something. And I was like, fuck. And that was within like 10 minutes was my peak and my downfall.
Mm. That's pretty
So
good.
I don't know how good you are supposed to be to really take them on. Those also serve a very funny purpose in this game, which is a piracy, ironically, piracy protection thing.
Hmm.
I don't know if you caught on to this, but
Hmm.
at the beginning of the game, they ask you, depending on which year you choose, they're like, okay, we just want to ask, where's the treasure fleet right now? Or
Yeah.
where's the silver train? And you have to look in the manual and answer them. And supposedly, if you answer incorrectly, the game is just harder and like fucks with you more. And this was a prevention, I guess not prevention because it would be too late, but if you did pirate the game, it was like proof you didn't have the manual. And that was your
Mm.
punishment.
Interesting. I had not thought of it from that perspective. I was just like, I guess this is the game's way of trying to make you, I don't know, understand the historical context in the manual, or like it's like a fun little thing you have to flip through. But because it happened right at the start and I didn't really know exactly what the game was yet, I didn't give it that much thought. But that is funny, right? You have to have the manual or else it'll fuck you up. I did think that that was like annoying, right? Because they were just like, yeah, there's like it depends on, they're gonna ask, when it's at a specific location, and there's like a dozen locations it can be at, and then they're gonna ask, and they're all different, and it's gonna be different for each time period that you do it in, and there's not one single location in the book, like they're distributed around the manual. So like they're going to ask you and you're going to have to go searching, and I don't have a fucking physical manual to flip through. I have to alt tab out of the game and then go scrolling through a PDF, which is a lot more annoying than just
I
like
put it on my
flipping through
phone.
until I see the fucking thing. And that might have been a better idea, but it was funny.
there is the broadsheet or whatever. There's like a
Mhm.
reference guide that came with the game, which mine did say, or at least for if you're doing the beginner era, it was like check it's on page 11. Like it did just tell me
Yeah,
where to
yeah,
go.
just tell you the page
But
on
yeah, it
that,
is. I
I
mean,
guess.
it's weird. This was a thing in this era. I mean, I know there's some LucasArts games where it was like they would come with literal code wheels in the box, and you actually had to put like cards in a thing and turn it to enter the right code to prove you bought the game. They didn't know what they were doing back then. They didn't know how to deal with piracy. they just they just they were doing the best they could.
That's pretty funny.
Pirates. It is funny that it's a game all about pirates.
Yeah, and they don't want you to pirate it? Come on, man.
It feels like real mixed messaging.
Yeah, agreed.
I can't get
Now,
behind that. Yeah.
they did say in the manual that they specifically chose this period as opposed to some of the like early 1700s pirates, like Blackbeard, who might be more famous because those guys were just weird psychopath criminals hanging on to a lost age. This was the golden era, right? Where you could be a heroic pirate, you know, uh, presumably because. A government could contract you out to pirate against a different one, and being a mercenary is somehow more heroic than just being a criminal. I don't know. Maybe
There's a
Blackbeard really was just 100 times worse than any of these guys. I don't actually know what
He
I'm
probably
talking
was. I
about.
mean, that's
He
why we
probably
know who
was.
he is,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it's true.
He
That's
probably
true.
was like the Attila the Hun of pirates or something. There's this quote from Sid Meier where he says, "Pirates was designed more around your fantasy of pirates than the
Mm,
actual reality. That allowed you to bring in all the stuff from the movies, whatever you had read, whatever was in your imagination." Which I think is an interesting quote considering how, to me, a doofus, this game reads like it's trying very hard to convince you that it's accurate, that it's a specific
mhm,
year, the map is correct. All these simulation elements feel like they're designed to be close to what real life was like at the time.
mhm.
But so I don't know. I don't know what you make of that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's like the fanboys idea, right? Like I know all the time periods because I read all the histories because I just love pirates that much. But at the end of the day, I am still just like I'm writing fan fiction about it, right? Like I'm not dying of thirst in the Caribbean heat or whatever. I'm like having a good time adventuring. But this is what the situation was like. I read about it.
Yeah. All right. Sid Meier's Pirates. It's time. We're going to give our final thoughts and then give it an IGN rating on a scale from, I guess, 0 to 10.
I can give a 0.
I mean,
Ooh.
right? If you can
Yeah,
give
why
it
not?
10, yeah, why not? You could
Could probably
theoretically
give it a
give a 0.
negative.
No, that's too far.
Maybe I'll give some games like a 12.
Well,
These
what
are
are you
just
going to give
good
this game?
options. Yeah, okay, interesting.
You weren't prepared for that question, huh?
I never know what I'm gonna give these things until I give them to them, to be perfectly honest with you. Um, so I mean this game it's interesting. It has some things about it that are so like obscure, like what the hell are you doing in combat a lot of the time, and what does any of this mean, that could maybe be more on the level and could maybe um I don't know, be like it would make the game more accessible and maybe more fun right off the bat. It also um like it's a very specific type of game, right? Like I think the game does really ask a lot of you in terms of like diving into this world, right? Like this is not a game where you're just going to come into it and be like, "Hey, look at that cool thing and that cool thing. Okay, I'm out." And it's fun, right? Like it really does ask you to devote yourself to it, I think, for it to be like truly fun and good. That being said, it also does a very good job of like showing you that promise of saying, as opposed to saying like, "Oh, you didn't do that? Well, then you had a bad time." Rather of saying, You had a pretty good time for how little you invested in it, and you can tell that you would have a great time if you invested more. Like it tempts you. It pulls
Mhm.
you in. It wants you to do that. Um it is impressive given the time frame, the degree to which this thing is so open-ended and goalless in an era of games with stages and endpoints and bosses and scores. Um,
Yeah, this is the
is the
same year, or sorry, 1 year later
yeah.
than last week's game, but yeah,
Yeah, like
that's what we're
is
doing.
this truly the first open world game? And if it is, or simulation game, and if it is, my God, does it like actually deliver on that rather than just feeling tedious? Like it makes you feel like you are in the game. I did enjoy playing it quite a bit. It is the sort of thing that I could get into, but also if I didn't get into it, I would probably forget about it. If that makes any sense.
Makes so
Right,
much sense.
there's not a Goomba that's gonna hold me in here. Uh,
Yeah, right. Of course.
um,
I get it.
let's see. I'm gonna give, Sid Meier's Pirates, let's say, 7.2 out of 10.
Very fair. Very fair. Good score. Good score. Well done. Well done.
Thank you.
Yes, it does. Um, to what you're saying about showing you the potential, the promise.
Mhm,
It's not. This game doesn't make you work too hard to see the good stuff, right?
mhm,
Whether you're whether you're successful at it or whether you understand it, within 10 minutes of the game, you've probably done a couple of pirate fights and plundered treasure and taken it somewhere. Like you're doing the thing immediately. There's no, oh, level one kind of sucks, or like, wait, you got to get through
mhm,
the opening cutscenes and then after the first hour it opens up. Like, no, you start the game, go do the thing that is on the box. It's there for you. And there's something to be said for that. I think that this game does fulfill the promise that I did not find fulfilled personally in a game like SimCity. And another game that I'm going to mention that maybe doesn't seem like a direct comparison makes sense, but Wizardry, Proving
mhm,
Grounds of the
mhm,
Mad Overlord, had a sort of similar thing where you had a cast of characters, you went to a crew to recruit them, sorry, a tavern to recruit them. You went out into the world to fight stuff, then you came back to get divvy up your loot, recover, and like over time your characters aged and died and all this stuff. Like similar to this game in the sense that it was something that you could theoretically devote a lot of time to and kind of be your thing that you came back to for a long time. Unfortunately, the actual what you were doing in the game was fucking boring and terrible. So I feel like I Pirates has given me the promise of that, has delivered on what that could be, and I think that's really cool. Um, the biggest downside to this game is something that I don't think we've really brought up so far, and I wonder if you felt it as much as me. But it is, in one sense, there is endless variation in this game. All these things we've talked about in the background, changing alliances between the nations, what they want you to do, where treasure can be found, the types of ships you encounter, the governor's missions, the where the wind is headed, all these things. There's so many variables that change often. At the same time, you're kind of doing the same three or four things over and over again forever on a loop. And it a lot of my gameplay did just boil down to I'm in the ocean, do a bunch of naval combat. It's always the same. Close in to do a sword fight. It's pretty much always the same. Decide if I want this loot. Yeah, I do. Do I want the ship? Probably. It's kind of the same thing. Find a town, trade it in, talk to a guy, leave, do the same thing again. I did think it was very repetitive in terms of what you're actually doing, the core minute to minute gameplay, to the point where I don't know, like that hurts the longevity for me, imagining if this was something I were to come back to week after week. I think I already was starting to get kind of tired of doing all these ship battles. I don't know about you. but
Hmm.
so I can't really wholeheartedly go, "Oh, this game was awesome." All the things that I liked about it were kind of in spite of that. I think the promise of the adventure, the freedom that I felt, and this perception that I had that there were secrets to discover. I still don't know where my sister is. If I had found my sister and like saw what happened and it was just another fight and they were like, "Good job," maybe I would be sitting here like, "Okay, the game, I saw everything this game had to offer. There's not really anything left at that point unless you're really into the history of it, the setting and that kind of thing." So, you know, but again, I understand for the time, all that stuff was still pretty revolutionary. I wish there were a little more variation. Like, I don't know. I wish the
Hmm.
combat felt different sometimes. I wish there were different kinds of pirates. I wish there was more NPCs. I wish there was actually more people you could talk to and interact with. I wish there were more obvious quests you could carry out and more different kinds of alignments that you could do that would have a meaningful impact on it. But for the time, for what they were working with, it was obviously pretty revolutionary. I think I'm gonna land. Where am I on this one? Where am I on Pirates? I'm gonna give it a. I'll give it a 7.5. I'll give it a seven
Yeah.
five.
Very reasonable. Very reasonable. That was in the range that I was looking at. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely agree with you on the basic gameplay loop is not that much. Like the draw of the game is feeling like you have this freedom to be a person in this world. The things that you are mechanically doing are quite boring. I think that does kind of come back to like there's no Goomba, right? You don't you don't play this game for 10 minutes and then, a month later, you're still thinking about some element from it, right? Like you either get really into this game or I think you forget about it, is I think what happens. I think that if I don't make a conscious decision to come back and say, I'm going to be a pirate, like I could be a pirate's head and make this game a huge part of my personality. And I think if I don't do it, I will barely remember it 6 months from now. Um,
Mm.
but the experience of being in it makes you want to do the former. But
Mhm.
yeah, like I look at something like Super Mario Brothers 2, and it's like if I never play that again, obviously I remember Birdo and Mouser, you know? Remember how Princess Peach drifted in it? Like when she floated. I remember that stuff, and there were turnips. Like I'll remember that, even if I don't remember anything about the gameplay or about the game or care about it going forward. And that's really what's keeping this from getting up into the 9 out of 10s or whatever.
Yeah. You'll never forget the goat from King's Quest.
I'll never forget that goat. But in this, you're just a boat.
They should combine the two.
They should. Has anyone ever thought of that?
Hard to say. Yeah, yeah. So that's that's where it is. That's where it is. It is also another one that like SimCity, where it seems like a great game for streaming or
Mm,
just like
hmm.
having other people maybe doing something on their own in the background, and they can look up once in a while and be like, "Hey, where should I go? Should I like go check out
Yeah.
that city? Should I ally with these guys? Yeah, do it. That'll be cool."
You could
That
have
kind of thing.
actual jobs, right? Where like one of you could be like the captain who's like kind of deciding what your goals are going to be, and the other guy's the navigator, where you're just like, hey, I need you to go. I'm trying to get to this place. Can you go look at the real world map and then check the
Mm,
coordinates
now
in
we're
the
talking.
guidebook? Right, because I don't want to flip back over to the list of locations in the guidebook and look up the latitude and longitude. Just tell me, okay, I'll go look that up for you. Oh, Captain, we're actually pretty close to this port if you wanted to do something with the French. Oh, really? Maybe we'll go there. Like, I think you could do something like that.
You are kind of describing what Sea of Thieves is, and it would be pretty fun. Someday maybe we'll play Sea of Thieves together because that can be quite a bit of fun. Now, this game, Pirates, of course, was a big hit when it came out.
Hmm.
According to Wikipedia here, it says that it appealed more to female gamers than Microprose's other games.
Yes,
Now,
which explains the romance novel cover.
now their other games before this were called like F-15 Strike Eagle. So I mean,
Wasn't there
what
one
is
that was called like NATO Combat Vehicle Simulator or something?
yeah? So does this mean one woman played it as opposed to zero? Is that what they mean?
Right.
I don't know. But it was a pretty big seller. There were multiple versions. There was eventually Pirates Gold, which came out in 1993, that changed things here and there. And then there was also a full-on remake of it in 2004, which I don't know anything about, but it was a more modern take on it. Other than that, again, no Pirates 2. Never did Pirates 2. They've stayed away from that. Let's go to Classic Review Corner. Couple of paused for the bumper to play. There isn't one. A couple of reviews here from back in the era. Okay. So here's one from our favorite magazine, Computer Gaming World.
I love that one. Or maybe another one with a similar name.
Yeah. And their review, they said, a genre breakthrough. This is a fascinating simulation of the age of piracy. This reviewer's initial impression was somewhat muted, in that he did not know if the product had legs, in quotes. But it stands up far better than most computer simulations. I think maybe this is a summary of past reviews, and that's why it's worded strangely. This is just like a blurb. And they said, be aware that the various versions differ in quality. And this was Computer Gaming World's Action Game of the Year in 1988. I think they just didn't know what categories were strange back then. And then I've got a review here from Amstrad. Amstrad
like
Action.
Pig Latin?
I don't know what that is.
Well, it sounds like you're saying like Amscray or whatever, You know what I'm saying?
And they have there's a much more in-depth review here that I found where they say, this is one of those rare games that will only run on a 6128. It won't run on a 464 or 664 with or without RAM pack. Both sides of the disc are used to play the game.
Yeah, what kind of dumbass is using it with a 48 whatever?
Fucking idiots.
Fucking get in the modern era with your 61 whatever bullshit.
They say the graphics are chunky but colorful. Not sure what that means. I believe this is, by the way, this is like the Commodore version, not the Amiga. Some of the pictures of people are quite pretty. The sound effects are nothing special. Although this is not the greatest game in the world, it's fun to play. There are plenty of options to choose, and it'll take a long time before you progress through the ranks. Unfortunately, the price is going to put many people off. Before you go out and spend any guesses on the cost? Now, this is in pounds.
I don't know what the conversion to pounds would be.
Well, it was 20 pounds.
This doesn't sound too bad.
Yeah, I don't know. Yes, it was 1995 pounds.
Huh.
I don't know.
I could convert pounds to kilograms if that would help.
It must have been expensive because they also have a second opinion in a little box on this page. And this person also said, shame about the price, but it just means you probably ought to try before you buy just to make sure it's your kind of game. So this must have been expensive. I don't know. They gave it a 76% overall. And again, one of their negatives was expensive.
I guess that's a lot of pounds. Maybe maybe they actually mean the weight of the game. They went out and picked it up and they're like, Jesus fucking
Oh,
Christ. How heavy you
that
gotta
could
make this
be.
damn thing? It's just a disc, right?
That's very
I'm
possible.
gonna break my computer.
It's always funny to look back at these reviews when they're sort of not necessarily wholly new, but more just newly emerging genres that they
Mhm.
don't. It sounds like people just don't really know what to think of them, and they're like, "Yeah, it's like an action game," or I don't know, "Is this like an RPG kind of?" Like people didn't really know what they were doing. Would you like to read an email?
Not really, but I suppose we could.
Well, we have a minor mail opening this week, just one email to go through.
Alright,
We're going to
let's
check it
hear
out
it.
now. Okay, this one comes in from, this is the second time writing in. I don't know if you want to comment on
Mm.
this at this time, from Wisp Paladin.
Hmm. I forgot to check that.
Are you serious?
I am serious. I forgot.
It's been like 3 weeks.
Well, I was either gonna do it immediately or not at all. I forgot then, and it just slipped my mind since.
So you thought maybe this is someone you know in real life. I guess I'm also surprised that this person didn't reach out to you to say, yes, it's me, if it's them.
Well, they don't live in the same state as me if it is them.
They wouldn't text you or something. I don't know. If I'm
Mm,
listening to your
I don't use
podcast,
my phone. What are you talking about?
they also don't say it in the email either. They didn't follow up and say, yes, you know me.
Well, then maybe I don't.
It's
Who
weird to not.
knows?
I feel like you do, because wouldn't they, if you didn't know them, wouldn't they say, no, you don't
Yeah.
know me? I
Well,
don't
let's
know.
hear the email.
You are friends with weird people. Here's the email. Last time we commented, we weren't sure. They said they were a watcher, and we were concerned that they were maybe driving while watching the
Mm.
show.
Mm-hmm.
Wisp writes, "Greetings, bad boys. Your concern for safe driving is a noble and frankly majestic quality of the podcast. I can assure you that I am not watching the videos as I drive. My full eyesight is completely focused on the high beam lights coming straight towards me at 55 miles per hour during the morning commute. It gives the same nausea as Jonathan trying to say yins, coming from that place on the other side of the Appalachians. Can yins believe that? Gross." With that out of the way,
I
I
don't think
have
we're reading
noticed.
another email from you after that bullshit. Fuck off.
I'm with you 100%, but I will finish this out. With that out of the way, I have noticed that on multiple episodes, the discussion of what type of gamer Will might be keeps coming up. Well, this is something that many people and companies have tried to explain. You have Magic the Gathering's Timmy, Johnny, and Spike. Also, Wizards of the Coast's thinker, power gamer, character actor, and storyteller. More specifically to video games is Bartle's taxonomies: achiever, explorer, socializer, and killer, or Quantic Foundry's 12 motivations model. These and others can help give insight into what type of gamer Will might be, like a cheat code, similar to how in SimCity you could type fund and get an instant $10,000 colon capital D smiling emoticon. Game strong, Wisp Paladin. So how are you supposed to say it? Yins? Like, do you not? Is it not a? Did I do a hard yeah? And maybe it's more like a yins or something.
I,
Any insight
I,
on this?
not really, and I don't want to either.
Yins. I mean, it's a stupid word.
Yeah, it sucks.
Fuck you.
So I guess we could look up one of like 50 different rubrics, and I could take a personality test, and then that would answer all our questions.
Maybe this is a Patreon episode we've just been gifted.
Interesting.
We each take some of these quizzes and see what is off the top of your head, if you had to guess. But just to me, the one that I am sort of familiar with, I think maybe I did take a test to this extent to this extent. I don't know what I'm trying to say. At some point, the Bartle one, Achiever, Explorer, Socializer, Killer. Do any of those, just from a name, just gut instinct, does one of those speak to you in some way?
Maybe Explorer, but I don't really know. I don't have any idea. I
I
am I
think
am
that's me.
familiar with the Magic the Gathering one, in which I know that I'm pretty solidly a Spike.
See, I don't like those because I got to actually know about them to know what that means.
Yeah. Well, that would be the competitive person, as opposed to the person who plays for like a feeling, or the person who plays to like create or express themselves. Right. I play to win,
Hmm.
but I don't know that
Hmm.
that translates to single player games at all.
Right.
So I
Different,
think
very
I might
different
be,
thing.
yeah, I might be totally different. Like very clearly, I don't play to win when I'm playing a single player game. Like I hate score. Score doesn't. I don't give a shit. Like none of that matters. It's like only when I'm pitted up against another person do I all of a sudden care about winning.
See, that's maybe more applicable, like to me with board games, because 90% of the time I'm playing those with other people.
Hmm.
And I'm definitely in those instances, not that I'm not trying to win, but that's not my reason I play board games, is not like to be the best. I'm more interested in a game that has a rich theme and interesting mechanics and settings and vibes and stuff like that. Probably why I don't play Magic the Gathering, even though
Yeah,
people do like those things about Magic. The competitive scenes for video games, any kind of games, that's not my thing. Maybe I guess just because I'm bad
yeah,
at them, you know?
yeah. I think for me, it really is like the idea of strategy versus another human being is very interesting to me. Like on a fundamental level, the idea that like you are doing something and I am trying to stop you from doing your thing and while also proactively doing my thing, and you are trying to stop me from doing my thing while doing your thing, and like what is the dynamic there? And the game is
Mhm.
almost less important. It's like the game is just the rules that you optimize to make that dynamic work, and the moment you take the other person out of it, I don't the optimizing the game becomes less important. It's I'm looking at other stuff now.
Yeah, I do agree with you. Like, I think that has to be an element of it.
Mhm.
But I'm more like, well, I like thinking about the rich strategy between two players in regards to this Lord of the Rings board game.
Mhm.
But like when you present to me like a war game, like a real war game, or like even just
Mhm.
chess, like that's not that interesting to me because the trappings are not interesting to me.
Mm.
I need a carrot to get
Yeah.
me into it.
Yeah. Yeah. Not me. Not me. Fundamentally put another person across and say beat that person. I'm at least interested even if I know that I suck and can't do it.
Yeah, at your heart, you're just kind of, I don't know. I think maybe you are a killer. You
mm.
think you're an
am-
explorer, maybe you're a killer.
I'm just misanthropic and antagonistic is what it is, right?
Oh, I didn't say that. It wasn't my words. Thanks for the cheat code, Wisp. I'll make sure to make note of that next time I play Sim City. That will
Hey,
really
might come
help
up.
me out.
It better work in
Okay.
later versions or I'll be mad.
Well, let us know, listeners and viewers, if you'd like to see us try to determine our gamer uh, type on a Patreon episode or something. You can leave a comment on YouTube. You can email us, badwithgamespodcast@gmail.com. And just like Wisp, you can have your email read on the show. We'll read anything you have to say about a game, one we've played, one we haven't, gaming in general, different play styles, what have you. Are you a real pirate head? Talk to us there. And you can also talk to us in our Discord. However, little catch with that, my friends.
Mm.
Only way to get us in the Discord is to join our Patreon page, patreon.com/badwithgames. Where in addition to Discord access, you'll get bonus episodes every single week. This week, we are talking about a very relevant video game subject, the original 1968 film Planet of the Apes.
Pretty high. It's going to be a good time.
That should be a lot of fun. You're not going to want to miss our discussion on that one. You know, something that I feel like maybe we should, if I bring it on the show, I don't know if maybe I'm manifesting it. We just waited too long is the problem,
Mm.
but I've been throwing around the idea of us doing a marathon gaming stream for Extra Life, which, if people don't know, is for children's hospitals charities. You raise money and you can stream a bunch of games, people watch and donate money, and you goof around. And a lot of times they go for 24 hours, but they don't have to. It's kind of whatever you want to do. And officially that date is this weekend. We're not doing that this weekend, but we kind of threw around a date of maybe a week from now. But I don't know. Maybe we'll do it in November. Maybe we'll do it in December. Maybe we won't do it at all. But I guess I thought I'd finally say that on record. So if anyone's listening and thinks, hey, that would be fun, you should do it, I would watch, they could let us know.
Yeah, please do let us know. I'm absolutely down to do it. Like I hate doing work, but when it comes to like social gatherings, I'm very susceptible to peer pressure. And if if by everyone, I mean, if no listeners said anything, but you were all like, we should do it, I'd be like, okay. If one listener said do it, I'd be like, yeah, we should probably do it.
You say that, and yet I send you one tip for a game, and you immediately bristle and refuse to do it. So what's the contradiction here?
Well, listen, I'm not going to behave the way you want me to during any kind of marathon stream. I'm just going to do it. Like I'm playing all these games for you, whether I like them or not. I'm just maybe not doing it the way you'd like.
Okay, well, we may very well come back next week and say, get ready this Friday, it's happening. I don't know if that's the case. I just don't know. We should have been planning this. We should have been talking about it weeks ago, and we didn't. But I said it now.
Yeah,
we'll figure it out. All right. I think that's it. Now, next week, we're going to have some fun.
Next week.
We are going to have some fun. Because next week, our game is Mega Man. Same year, another 1987 game.
Robot.
The first Mega Man game on the NES from Capcom. That should be a lot of fun.
I think it will be. I think we're going to have a good time with Mega Man.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited. All right. Well, I think that's it.
Yarr,
Gamers
out.
out.